My only task for now, my baby step for now, is to use my consciousness, my witnessing, so that I am more aware of my movements. Why am I acting in a certain way again and again? If it does not give me peace, why am I compelled to act in certain ways? And also the possibility to take that light from within to shed on those movements, so that I don't keep suffering. I don't make life a suffering. So for now, we will focus mostly on that, and we will use only those lines which help me go there, reach there. Because it's, the literature that Sri Aurobindo and Mother have given us, it's so vast that one can really get lost. So I would come back again and again to my present life, how I want to presently change my life. So for now, we will just keep our focus on how I can use this consciousness to change my way of life, to get suffering, a bit now out, because now I feel that I can live a better life even without suffering, taking the lessons from suffering. So that will
Yeah.
be my focus.
You know, Monica, when you dropped off or it went silent, I thought it was part of the process because just before
That's
that
so
you
nice.
said we will use the consciousness to observe ourselves and then silence.
That's
So
really nice.
yeah,
Yeah. Mother also says, use every circumstance for your progress. So you did that. Bravo. Yeah. So any further questions on this, or shall we go ahead in the document?
We can go in the document. I have questions in the document only.
Great, great. ठीक है. So you keep them coming as your questions, as we move
Yeah.
ahead, you can
Yeah.
keep them coming. So Ritu, you were not there last time. Would you like to begin? Do you have the document with you? So we have to begin from why is there suffering?
This is page number.
Uh,
see,
Okay, why is there suffering?
yeah.
For a long time, quite recently, that is to say, for days together, there was a very acute, very intense, very clear perception that the action of the force translated itself externally by what we call suffering, because that is the only kind of vibration which can pull master out of its inertia. The supreme peace, the supreme calm are deformed and disfigured into inertia and into tamas. And precisely because of this was the deformation of true peace and calm, there was no reason why it should change. A certain vibration of awakening, of reawakening, was necessary to come out of this tamas that could not pass directly from tamas to peace. Something was needed to shake the tamas, and that is translated externally by suffering. I am speaking here of physical
Maybe,
suffering because
okay, okay, ठीक है. Maybe you read the last para as well. Okay, fine.
I am speaking here of physical suffering because all the other sufferings, vital, mental, emotional sufferings, are due to a wrong working of the mind, and these may simply be classed together as falsehood. That's all. But physical suffering gives me the impression of a child being beaten because here in matter, falsehood has become ignorance. That is to say, there is no bad will. No bad will is there in matter. All is inertia and ignorance. Complete ignorance of the truth, ignorance of the origin, ignorance of the possibility, and ignorance even of what is to be done in order not to suffer physically. This ignorance is everywhere in the cells, and it is only the experience of what is translated into this rudimentary consciousness as suffering, which can awaken, bring forth the need to know and to cure, and the aspiration to transform oneself.
Yeah, maybe Ritu, we can discuss this now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So just ask anything from this. What would you like to us for this
I
to
just
discuss?
had a question with this second, no, last paragraph. Does
Ji.
it mean that suffering from mind, because it is saying that it is all because of falsehood. Whatever you are suffering in vital or emotional or mental sufferings, they are all just falsehood. So
Hmm.
is it that physical suffering is like more important than mental suffering?
नहीं, ये कहने वाला मतलब नहीं है। मतलब ये है कि जो ये अभी बात कर रहे हैं ना, एक इसकी अ, अभी जो बात कर रहे हैं श्री अरबिंदो, वो बात कर रहे हैं फिजिकल सफरिंग की। अब
Okay.
इसमें क्या हो रहा है, जस्ट लेट मी टच ऑन फिजिकल एस्पेक्ट एंड देन वी विल गो बैक टू द मेंटल एंड वाइटल एस्पेक्ट।
Okay.
सो फिजिकल सफरिंग में क्या हो रहा है, माय सेल्स ऑफ द बॉडी, इट्स अ वेरी डीप फिलोसफी एंड मदर हैज रियली डन अ लॉट ऑफ वर्क ऑन इट, सो वील जस्ट टच अपॉन इट। So the cells in my body have lost faith that they are divine in a sense.
Okay.
We have become so used to the drugs and medicine all around us that we think that in general the body cannot heal itself. Just because even the cells have lost faith that they are in touch with the divine. Their original is divine. Origin is divine. So how I can put this faith in the cells is, once I am aware of this in my own being, that yes, my essence is divine, then slowly I can actually put this faith into those cells of mine in the body. There's, wake up, your essence is also divine and you can heal yourself.
Okay.
But that, if you see, is very, very difficult because it goes against our social structure totally. It goes against the hospital structure, that, the whole lifestyle that we are living, the lifestyle of using medicines for everything. So one needs to have a total faith, unshakable faith first in one's own being. Then that presence can be forced into the cell, kind of, it can be injected into the cells, that yes, your essence is also divine and you can heal yourself. So at the moment when Sri Aurobindo talks about physical suffering, he's talking of that ignorance of the cells, that cells even don't know that their origin is divine and they can heal themselves. So that is what Sri Aurobindo is referring to in regards to physical suffering. So that is why when I become ill or I have a sickness, you must have seen, there are many people amongst us who, after getting ill, they get more rejuvenated because they get much in deeper touch with themselves. There are many stories, where people have fallen ill and they have gotten back even high
Yeah,
spirited.
no, and I believe this.
Yeah.
I personally believe this because when I was declared sugars for a very quite long time, I couldn't accept that fact. And now I'm seeing the causes why this would have happened. But I really want to understand because I have read few books like the You Can Heal Yourself by Louis Hay. Now
Yeah.
she claimed to cure her cancer just by giving auto suggestions. So,
Yeah.
and in science, we believe that you have diseases because of some psychosomatic issues. So,
Yes.
psychologically, your mental aspect plays a vital role in having some issue for your body. So, if I'm suffering a disease, that means I am doing something wrong somewhere in the mental aspect. So, I
Mm-hmm.
want to understand here they say that it's the falsehood only, and the body is more ignored and mind is falsehood. So do
Hmm.
we have to pay more attention on to the ignorance of the body or on the falsehood of the mind to get this particular issue resolved for any disease or any kind of pain or suffering that we are dealing at any level? Maybe somebody suffering from depression or maybe somebody suffering from a disease. Then
Yeah.
ultimately what has to be focused more,
Yeah.
at which level?
Yes. Yes.
I
So imagine that you have a container, you have a cup, which is which has water, but I put one drop of some, maybe some drain water into it. So that cup is our whole being. It's a unity. Okay, so the mind, body, and emotions are a unity. We might separate them, but actually, they are a unity. So if I put a drop of drain water in that cup, which was pure earlier, you cannot ask me where to begin, because one has to clean all. One has to clean the whole cup. So one has to also take care of the mind, also of the emotions, and also of the cells of the physical. You cannot do it in parts because they are unity. If one is left kind of untouched, it will keep on pulling you down. It will ask you, यार मेरे को भी लेके जाओ, इतना साफ हो रहे हो, मेरे को भी कर दो. So you are getting cleaned up, please clean me also. So all these parts have to be focused upon. And but I would say the most important that for us at the moment right now would be focusing on the mind, the thoughts, and also the emotions. And once I have a better control over the mind, a calm mind, then I can use that mind's peace to put faith into the cells.
So
Yeah.
do the cells have they do understand the emotion also?
Sorry, once again.
Do cells have their own mind to understand the emotion part also?
I think they have. That's what people say. They have. They are full being in itself. Like they can think for themselves and they can feel. And there are many studies in scientific research also that has been done, that because we are a big thing composed of those little beings only. So they are the building blocks of us. So whatever capacity we have, the cells also have, but in a different form. In a different.
Okay.
So let's. Uh, so this thing I think should be clear, that suffering, when I am in suffering, especially when it's a physical kind of a suffering, it has the power to wake me up from inertia of ignorance. क्योंकि अभी तक मैं ऐसी जिंदगी जी रही थी, the life I was living was that I'd have no idea what my divine essence is. I have no idea what my divine origin is. I don't care about it. But the moment physical suffering comes, then I am kind of shaken up from my existence. Oh my God, what is happening? And then in that curiosity to know what is happening, I become more in touch with myself. I can go deeper in touch with myself, even to my cells, in which I can awaken faith and awaken their divine potential, that they can heal themselves only if I take that path towards inner progress. अगर मैं इसमें लग जाऊं, I keep on complaining, oh my God, why me, why did it happen to me, then it's a vicious trap and one cannot get rid of it. So if one takes it as a progress, then suffering, in Sri Aurobindo's and Mother's terms, it has the potential to wake up us from inertia of ignorance or inertia of falsehood. When I'm talking about falsehood, then I mean that, in emotions, in my feelings, in my thoughts, I'm not very sincere. I talk something else, but I mean something else. So this is falsehood. Now, when I'm suffering emotionally and mentally, I have this potential कि अब मैं, I become more honest to myself. What do I actually want? Why am I saying this thing to this person when I mean something else? So becoming aware of your own falsehood. Yeah. So maybe next paragraph, who else would like to take after the first three paragraphs?
I can go ahead.
Okay, Sneha.
Yeah. It has become a certainty because in all the cells there is born the aspiration which is becoming more and more intense and which wonders at the resistance. But they have observed that whenever something goes wrong in the working, that is to say, instead of being supple, spontaneous, natural, the working becomes a painful effort, a struggle against something which takes appearance of a bad will. It is only a reference that does not understand. It is only a reticence that does not understand. At that moment, the intensity of the aspiration of the call is tenfold, becomes constant. The difficulty is to remain at that state of intensity. Generally, everything falls back. I cannot say into a solemn somnolence, but a kind of relaxation. You take things easy. And it is only when inner disorder becomes painful that the intensity grows and remains permanent for hours, hours together without slacking. The call, the aspiration, the will to be united with the divine, to become the divine, is maintained at its maximum. Why? Because there was externally what is called physical disorder, a suffering. Otherwise, when there is no suffering, from time to time one soars up and then one falls back into slackening. Again, another time one soars up once more and then there is no end of it. This lasts eternally. If we want things to go fast, relatively fast, according to the rhythm of our life, this smack of whip is necessary. I am convinced of it because as soon as you are within your own being, you look upon that with contempt as regards oneself.
Yeah, Sneha, that's a beautiful paragraph. Let's discuss this first. So, have you? I would like to ask you if you have, for now, experienced this. What your window here wants to say, that if you are really ill, if you are in sickness, if it's paining, that then the prayer also is very intense, and that intensity you usually don't get when things are going fine. Have you experienced this? Any
Yeah, this is
experience you
true.
want to
This
share?
is true. This is very much true. Actually, I heard somebody somewhere saying that even though you say you are praying every day, but only during two times the prayers are extremely no genuine. One is when you are in extreme pain and you are so helpless that you just look towards somebody and you're like, please help me, God. So that's one time when you feel, or the other time is when you are in thankful condition. So when suddenly you get some good surprise and you were just waiting for things to get to its correct way and it happens, and at that time वो एक निकल जाता है कि हाँ ये अच्छा हुआ, भगवान ने सुन ली, something like that. So it is intense during the time of pains when you find yourself closed down from so many doors, and it is
Hmm.
a helpless situation and there is nothing left for you as an option.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think even
So now,
surrendering is at that time more in a formative way
yeah, yeah.
because you are more close to that state. But unfortunately वो
Hmm.
temporary रहता है फिर निकल जाता है.
Exactly. That is what that is what is referred also. So अब देखिए हो क्या रहा है, what is happening. So I am living a life which is far, far less than what I really deserve. Because I deserve a divine potential, and somehow I have become satisfied, so-called satisfied, upar se. I'm not really satisfied. If I look within, I'm not satisfied. So I have become kind of satisfied. This is what life is, and maybe this is how I have to live. So this is happening, and you have become very suited to a mediocre kind of a lifestyle. Although if you look deeper, there is a kind of a shallowness and you want completion, but you don't focus on it usually. Now what happens? When I fall into a place of suffering or pain, then the intensity to achieve that which was normal, जो अभी तक मेरे को I was taken for granted, that even that I begin to kind of crave for. कम से कम सांस तो लेने दे भगवान, कम से कम एक normal life तो जीने दे भगवान. Now that becomes important, you know. And when I say it's the divine that I am praying to, it does not mean that it is again something separate from me. The moment I begin to feel that there is some other person who is doing things to me, then all the game becomes very confusing. So one has to see that divine is a part of me, is a higher part of me, which I am sometimes able to access and sometimes not able to access. So in intensities like this, when I am shaken off from my rudimentary mediocre life, then I get that intensity to pray or to seek that divinity or the highest potential that I am that is possible for me. So that is what is referred, again referring to why is there suffering. So if you really look closely, Suffering may appear bad on the surface, but the idea, the intention of the suffering is to take you towards your highest potential. It will not stop until it takes you and hands you over to the divine. Now that I find that really personally very, very beautiful, because if you don't focus much on the ugly part that suffering appears as, if you see the intention behind suffering, it is actually taking you to your truest, most potential. And then I, kind of feel again in gratitude, in even in suffering, I can be in gratitude that thank God that it happened. Otherwise, I could have just lived that mediocre life forever. Right?
But why is it like that? There are certain circuits you do not come out of it. I mean to say, like, certain situations of your sufferance keeps on repeating. So if like I'm trying to grow but I'm not growing maybe, and that same kind of situation is happening again and again, then what's going wrong over there?
Mother says that some part of you wants that suffering. Now, when I say that we have to become more honest to our movements, it means that now I have to myself with forceps pick that part out which wants suffering. Because only Nehal knows what in Nehal wants that suffering.
हम लोग घूम घूम के वहीं आ जाते हैं. Right, right. It's all within, that means.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
But another way to look at it, Monica, is it's just like telling yourself that koi baat nahi, aise ho gaya, to it will take us to some place divine. I mean, if a child loses something, you just tell him, okay, doesn't matter, it's for your good. So one way to look at it is, okay, maybe this pain and suffering is good for me. But then another way is when we tell ourselves, maybe this pain and suffering is going to take me to a better world, make me experience something, bring me out of the inertia or tamas.
Yeah.
Maybe you're just consoling yourself. Okay,
Yes.
don't feel that bad. At the
Yeah.
end of it, it's gonna be better for you. So it's just probably not true that it's actually gonna wake me. Maybe
Yeah.
just consoling myself. Okay, just hold on, it's gonna wake you.
So, Ritu, I would say that if that gives you, that this explanation gives you more peace and calm inside, then be with this explanation. What is important is that I must be with calm and peace with whatever belief I am having. If I see that this belief or this attitude that I am taking towards life is not giving me peace, then you drop it and pick up another kind of attitude. So I would say that if you think that consoling myself or whatever you are saying, if that kind of an attitude gives you much in a restful position within, take that attitude, because that would be your inner truth. Only you would know that, I am feeling much better when I think like this, or do I take that attitude, then I feel much better. Only you would know. And that is what is referred to as our own inner truth. So I cannot force you to have a certain belief, or, and I should not, because you have your own unique personality and you have to choose your truth yourself. So I would say that if the second part that you recommended gives you more joy, makes you more peaceful, choose it, live it. Yeah. So let's go on further. Nehal, would you like to take up the next paragraph?
Yeah. But then all of a sudden, when there comes this true compassion of the divine love, and when one sees all these things that appear so horrible, so abnormal, so absurd, this great pain which is upon all beings and even upon all things, then there takes birth in this physical being the aspiration to soothe, to cure, to remove that. There is in love at its origin something which is translated constantly as the intervention of grace, a force, a sweetness, something like a vibration of solace spread everywhere, but which an illumined consciousness can direct, concentrate on some points. And it is there itself, that I saw use, the true use one can make of thought. Thought serves as a kind of channel to carry this vibration from place to place wherever it is necessary. This force, this vibration of sweetness is there, is there in a static way upon the world, pressing in order to be received, but it is an impersonal action. And thought, illumined thought, surrendered thought, thought which is no longer anything but an instrument, which tries no longer to initiate things, which is satisfied with being moved by the higher consciousness. Thought serves as an intermediary to establish a contact, a relation, and to enable this impersonal force to act wherever it is necessary upon definite points.
Yeah, let's take this up, this paragraph. So here it is said that along with that ugliness that may appear as suffering or pain, there is also at the same time there is also a possibility and aspiration to soothe, to cure. And you must have seen people who have gone through horrible instances in their life. They have developed this aspiration that they become kind of social servers, or they kind of extend their compassion towards other people as well. Why so? Why only after going through their pain they do that? So that is what is said, that along, because they have gone through the pain themselves, and then they have also touched that sweetness within through that pain. So they know that if you go on with pain, and if you try to find that space within, which is this sweetness that they are referring to, then it is possible to get rid of it and not live with pain forever. Because we all want joy, we all want to live with a sweetness, and that is why this searching for joy and happiness everywhere. Although the seeking is kind of misdirected, because in external situations we somehow don't find it. I don't found it. I don't find it in my spouse, I don't find it in my children, I don't find it in my relationships or job or money. But I need to find it, because I feel that I'm lacking it. So where is it to be found? And that is the way the pain and suffering kind of provide us, that they give us that intensity to go within and seek that joy within. And now, once I have gained that joy within, then I can use that, to kind of spill it out to my relationships, to my office, to my job, and to everything that I do. But before this, that was not possible. Before this, I was trying to kind of, as if I'm trying to fill my cup by asking by asking my spouse, or by asking my relationship, or by asking the job, and that was not happening. So the cup is to be filled only within. And then what happens? You are so contented that the joy flows out, and that the joy is able to illumine your relationships and also make the world a better place. The relationships a better, version of themselves. So, so again, referring to, first there is an intensity, very horrible, abnormal, absurd pain, and then along with that an aspiration to soothe or cure. So there is something in me that knows that it is possible to soothe it or cure it or remove it. फिर आगे क्या कह रहे हैं? Yes. So they are saying that only an illumined consciousness can direct this sweetness and focus it on some points. Now there becomes actually here I can bring surrender in, because only when I am open and porous to receive what is present all around and within, only then can I illumine my consciousness. Before that, everything is andhyara, it's darkness. I am not able to solve my own issues and I am not able to shed light on my issues. So I have to, in faith, kind of walk this path straight within, not wavering, straight within, until I touch that illumination जिसकी ये बात कर रहे हैं. And then with that light in my consciousness, I can direct it anywhere that I like. I can direct it into my cells, I can direct into my relationships, or even situations, having the right attitude towards relationships and situations. But before this cannot happen. And when they say that it is an impersonal action, it means that it does not want anything. जैसे होता है ना कि एक बच्चा है छोटा सा, a little child, say 6 months to 7-8 months, or even smaller. That child is full of kind of wonder and love, and a feeling of curiosity for this world. That child does not want anything from the external world yet. It is spilling out that consciousness, it is spilling out that light. So it is impersonal in action. So that is what is said about this, that this illumination, the vibration of sweetness, I can direct it with a empty mind, calm mind, but it is impersonal in action. It means that it does not want anything for itself. It is fulfilled in itself. तो अगर उसका इस्तेमाल कर लो, if you use it तो भी सही है, then also it's okay. If you don't use it, then also it's okay. It does not want anything. That is what is meant by impersonal. And further, the last 3 lines are also very, very beautiful. So when they say illumined thought, surrendered thought, thought which is no longer anything but an instrument, which tries no longer to initiate things, which is satisfied with being moved by higher consciousness. ये जो है, this serves as a nice golden bridge. Now what is happening? What is happening is that I have been able to have a calm mind because I have been able to deeply get in touch with this sweetness present within me, which is very fulfilling. So then what happens as a byproduct of this sweetness? My mind calms down. My desires stop to bother me. And now this mind has become a receptacle, like like an empty cup, empty cup. Now it can receive the higher thoughts, the higher intuitions, the ideas that are floating throughout in the universe. And then those ideas can be used. But इसमें ये कह रहे हैं, he's saying that it does not want to initiate things. So by itself, it has no need, because the fulfillment is already there. The sweetness is very fulfilling. The rasa, the juice from the sweetness is so much that the mind does not want to do anything per se. But when it gets an order from the higher realms, then it works in one direction. That is what is meant for by the last 4 lines. So any questions at these?
So do you think the scientific discoveries that happen is from this floor, from this kind of illumined thought, or no, this kind of surrendered thought? When we say that I got an idea, so
Yeah.
ideas generate from this particular kind of a state?
Yeah, actually, quite related to that, because Sri Aurobindo mentions of states over the mind. So above the mind there is overmind, higher mind, illumined mind. So yes, the ideas and intuitions come from there when you have that suppleness, that receptivity to receive. And then the ideas floating all around, the intuitions floating all around, you are able to catch it. But if I am stuck in my own limited structures, then I'll not be able to receive ideas. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So shall we go to the next one, how to cure suffering? Reggie, would you like to go ahead?
Sure. It may be said in an absolute way that an evil always carries its own remedy. One might say that the cure for any suffering coexists with suffering. So instead of seeing evil useless and stupid, as it is generally thought to be, you see that the progress, the evolution which has made the suffering necessary, which is the cause of suffering and the very reason for its existence, attains the intended result. At the same time, the suffering is cured for those who are able to open themselves and receive. The three things, suffering as a means of progress, and the cure of suffering, are coexistent and simultaneous. That is to say, they do not follow each other. They are there at the same time.
Yeah, Reggie, this is very beautiful. Just stay, let us just stay with this.
Sure.
So it's really beautiful. If we are able to have, the essence of this paragraph only, I think it cannot stop us from having a beautiful life. Nobody can stop us. Now look at this paragraph again. It may be said in an absolute way. Absolute, उसमें कोई exceptions भी नहीं है. No exceptions are there. Absolute way that an evil always carries its own remedy. And at one instance, Mother also says that weakness carries its own strength. Now look at how paradoxical both things are. But it means that if I am giving you, as I once, was talking to Ritu, and I said, if I'm giving you a class 12th question, if divine is giving you a class 12th question, it very much means that you are able to solve that very question. It means that now you have moved away from class 8 and 9 and you are prepared for the class 12 question. So the answer is within you. And that is why many people also say when you have a question coming from within you, the answer also is with you. We may seek outside for some time, that is okay. But the answer within us lies. So that is what is said, that the evil carries its own remedy. So what might appear evil has the divine also in its origin. So the remedy is already there. Because evil appears to be something very problematic, which requires a fix, which requires a resolution. And the resolution is very much within, because as they say, man se Ravan jo nikale Ram uske man mein hai. So the evil, along with that, the remedy, both of them exist together. And then further, one might say that the cure of any suffering coexists with suffering. So instead of seeing an evil useless and stupid as it is generally thought to be, you see that the progress, evolution which had made the suffering necessary, which is the cause of the suffering and the very reason for its existence, attains the intended result. Result kya hai? Result is that suffering is cured. And now the last two lines is again very, very important, that they all exist simultaneously. Amazing. Suffering as a means of progress. So imagine this now. I have a suffering. I am now ready to take it as a means to progress. In this very moment, if I am suffering, I am in this very moment only, don't focus on future or past कि मैं पहले क्या सोचती थी और अब बाद में क्या सोचूंगी, वो नहीं सोचेंगे हम. If in this very moment I am able to take suffering as a path to progress, then, only then, the cure is also happening at the same time. I don't have to wait for 1 year in advance or, when will my suffering be cured. At the same time, in that very same moment, I am cured of my suffering. It may be very, very temporary, because what happens is my emotions come back again, my old ways of working come back again, and I feel, oh, why did this happen, and why this and why me, and all kind of things. But so we also have a condition now. The condition is that if I take suffering as a means for progress, then the cure of suffering is with me in that moment. In the next moment, if I am not able to take suffering as a means to progress, the cure is not with me. Is that clear? Because I think this is very, very important. This asks us to live moment by moment. It's a very big demand on us. The moment I am going to go to future, again suffering will come. So the very fact is that I have to stay with the suffering, and therein I have the cure of the suffering, but only in that moment. And again, I have to use my free will. How many moments in my day I want to make like this, and in how many moments I don't want to take suffering as a means to progress and I want to suffer, because then I don't have the cure. So I think this is the remedy. This is the ultimate cure that has been given to us. Now it's up to us whether we want to use it. Yeah, Nehal.
So does it mean that we are supposed to stay in present? That they say that you should stay in now. You know,
Yeah.
you are not supposed to like look back or look in future. Just be there. So to be, this is what I have like read so many
Yeah.
places. Just
Yeah.
be. So
Just
does
be.
it
Yeah.
mean that just be is very important?
Yeah. Just being.
I think the background theory so much is to learn. Now there is a whole lot of thing how to be just be.
And that is why the easiest path I gave you, in the last
Surrender. It's
conversation
surrender.
that, that,
Yeah. Yeah,
Ritu,
that's
I
really
don't even
easy.
need
That's really
the
easy.
last.
Just leave everything. छोड़
No,
दो
no,
ना
not
सब कुछ.
leaving everything. You will have to collaborate much. I was asking you not to be present at all. I was asking you to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
absent. So it is very difficult to be absent,
yeah.
because we are like Jack in the box. The moment something happens, hey, I'm back again. I'm back
That's
again.
true. And it's very momentary, actually. It's
Yeah.
a thin line of moments together. So it's also difficult to define what is now.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, अगर हम उस तरफ जाएं, if we talk about those things, then the only thing that exists, that is actually the now. But that's a different kind of a direction that we would take, and again it would be a beautiful discussion. But if you really are in the now right now, just like you are saying, just be, then there is no problem of past and future I have. I am even kind of relieved of the suffering I had been carrying over the months. But the very problem is that the mind does not leave us there. The mind brings all back, the past memories and the future
Yeah,
worries and everything. Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah. So if we can be childlike, that is what you're saying, just being a childlike, I think that's the really beauty of the life, that if that can happen. And even for surrender, I think maybe mother has said it, that we need a childlike trust in the divine to sort surrender completely. Just as a child is totally dependent on the mother, he has total faith on the mother that I will be provided. So that kind of
Yeah.
a childlike trust. Yeah.
We are going to continue till 5:30.
Uh, that's up to us actually. 5:30 would be too much. I would say maybe 10-15 minutes more and then we are done.
Okay, so like my institute is getting closed, so maybe I'll leave in 5-10 minutes more.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because we have to close down. It's already their time to close.
Yeah. So with that, if that is the case, I would just ask you to maybe Ritu, you can lead this paragraph where I don't know which page it is because I have it on my Kindle. The topic where it says the secret towards which suffering leads us.
Yeah. It's page number
And
6.
yeah, and in that I want you to take up the paragraph number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 maybe, where it says when one enjoys oneself and forgets. Yeah.
Okay. So when one enjoys oneself and forgets, when one takes things as they come, tries to avoid being serious and looking life in the face, in a word, when one seeks to forget that there is a problem to solve, that there is something to find, that we have a reason for existence and living, that we are not here just to pass our time and go away without having learnt or anything, or learnt or done anything, then one really wastes one's time. One misses the opportunity that has been given to us. This, I cannot say unique, but marvelous opportunity for an existence, which is the field of progress, which is the moment in eternity when you can discover the secret of life. For this physical, material existence is a wonderful opportunity, a possibility given to you to find the purpose of life, to make you advance one step towards this deeper truth, to make you discover this secret which puts you into contact with the eternal rapture of the divine self.
Yeah. So this paragraph also, I thought it'll be a nice closing paragraph for today, because in the normal regularity of our life, if we are okay in our little pleasures and everything, and if pain and suffering don't come, then we don't have this seeking intensity. Why am I born? What is the purpose of life? Why is this happening like this is happening? So all these questions, which are very very important to ask, come into picture only when I suffer and I am in pain. And if I can use pain and suffering as a signal that yes, I was being led to the secret of these questions, the answers of these questions, then pain and suffering actually dissolve in the background. Because then something, a new kind of a world opens up to you. Oh my God, I had been missing so much all my life. So at 40 or in my 50s, the life is beginning now. That kind of a rapture. Because actually, if you really, which I'm sure this course will help us to do, if we really begin to take this path towards inner adventure, I can guarantee that you would see that, oh my God, what was I missing? As if a new life has begun now. So all this until now was a preparation for you to get into this life of seeking, of finding the divine within, of finding your truth within, of finding all the answers within. All this was a dress rehearsal, which was also very, very important. Because if I had not suffered those years, if all my expectations from people would have not been met, then I would not have reached this juncture where I am now seeking and wanting to, aspire and seek more. So with this, I would say it gives us a lot of force to go ahead and read more and immerse ourselves more in these texts and try to find out the truth of our life through our own ways. Yeah,
So, Monica, one question for you. I
yeah.
know, I mean, you must have gone through the same process of pain and suffering, and you must have found the right way through it and evolved and reached a situation wherein now you are at peace. So, in spite of that, do you also still sometimes feel that inertia or tamas, or sometimes you feel why the suffering? I mean, does that question come back to you sometime?
So why the suffering? No. But when I had actually maybe shared with you that I went through an intense phase of emotional suffering, which also impacted my body in the past few months before the course happened. And what was happening with me was that I was attaching myself very, very strongly to an external person, an external situation, that if this does not happen my way, oh my God, what am I going to do? And that was bringing a lot of suffering, a lot of kind of I would say pain, also emotional pain. And it has started to impact my tummy, my stomach, a lot. So I was losing weight at a very very fast pace. And what happened gradually, I realized that the more I suffer, the more I am kind of going within, the more I am able to reach my depths, which I was not able to reach before this episode happened. So, and suddenly, in a few days of time, I touched a space within me which was actually full of that rasa that I talk of, that sweetness, that emptiness that is full of sweetness. And there I realized, oh my God, all that suffering was actually to bring me here. Because if I had not longed for that person or that situation, if I had not chatpataud for that person, how would I have directed this intensity within? Because this intensity which I experienced in that phase was not to be experienced if it was for a normal, daily, regular life. And then after that, you would not believe. After that, actually, what I did was I had lost about 4 to 5 kgs of weight, and I left it on to the mother. I said, mother, if you really if you want me to be this way, I would be this way. It's okay. And if I don't find a cure to gain weight again, it's fine. So I had actually completely forgotten about it. And the next day I receive a call from a person who actually in her own ways told a cure to my stomach issues. And after that my weight started to pick up again. So, and before that, I had no want that I want to gain this weight. I thought, okay, if mother wants to me to be this way, I can be this way. But the thing was that suffering, that the thing that I was holding on to suffering, it was just my stupid, a stubborn want that yes, I want this person and I want this person this and this way. So the moment I left that want away, after touching that sweetness within, only then I was able to get rid of suffering. And now that suffering is not anywhere around me, in me. I would say I am kind of at the moment very much in divine faith that whatever happens helps us to progress. And that is what has been happening with me personally over my years of cancer, or for example this latest episode. Yeah.
So basically that means you are pushed, I mean one is pushed to an extent wherein one feels empty, and then one surrenders, and then the grace comes in.
uh See, Ritu, I don't know, if there can be several ways to it, because mother says as many people, as many possibilities. So I am sure the way that I have gone is only one of the ways. For you it can be something different. For you some joy can come first and peace maybe later. So all these aspects of Satchit Ananda, peace, love, power, beauty, joy, they can come at several times, at different times. It's not necessary that if it has happened with me that emptiness came first and after that peace and joy. It is not necessary that for you also it happens the same, because you are unique in your own nature. You have a different psychic personality, so that would depend on totally your kind of nature. Yeah.
That means to feel miserable is a part of progress.
Yes, it is. To feel miserable and also to seek a way out of misery. To know that I have a way out of misery, because I am, if I'm honest to myself, I was able to see that I was perpetuating my misery, because I was wanting that person again and again and again and again, and that person did not want me. you know so I was actually perpetuating my misery plus misery for that other person. Maybe that person wanted me in some other way. The relationship had to change in some way. So we have this fixed ideas or fixed notions in mind that okay, this is the relationship I want and this is what is going to give me joy. So at one moment of time I had to drop that idea that okay, this is not going to happen, kind of a hopelessness. And then I was sucked into that sweetness or emptiness that I say. And there I found that I can be fulfilled even without that relationship. So now, mother, if you wish to have that relationship in my life, it's okay. And if you don't, then also it's okay. And if it changes form, even then it's okay. So my fulfillment is not dependent on that relationship now. Yeah.
So the other day I was reading a book and it talked about three different sufferings. It would be similar what is mentioned here. One was Adi Devik, Adi Bhautik, and Adi Adhyatmik. So
Okay.
here in the last paragraph which we read, Adhyatmik would be the mental, my own mental suffering which I create, which is falsehood,
Okay.
right? I mean, is it
Yeah,
okay?
I think Adhyatmic suffering is more of a longing, a yearning for the divine. I'm not sure because these are Hindi words and I usually don't read Hindi literature that much.
Okay,
But
okay.
adhyatmic suffering is that suffering which is for the divine. That I feel separate from the divine, and now I want to yearn to meet him. That is adhyatmic suffering, if I'm not wrong. But I can be
Okay.
wrong. I don't know.
What I
Yeah.
understood was Adhyatmik was internal. I mean, which
Okay.
is of your own self. Adi
Okay.
Devik would be given by God, like lightning strike or floods or this corona situation. That's Adi
Okay.
Devik. Adi Bhautik is what comes with the world, like materialistic things and stuff like that. I want a car, I want a house, and I want a job. And
Yeah.
Adhyatmik would be like internal, self-created, like perceiving a situation to be a painful
Okay.
situation.
Yes.
I think
Yes. Quite possible.
what is mentioned here is falsehood, would be like
Yes.
to perceive things in a way which probably
Yes.
is false.
Yeah, I think that would go with your adhyatmic suffering, because then I'm perceiving divine to be something away from me and I'm creating my suffering. Yeah. So in
Mhm.
that way, yes. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah. So what about the other participants? They are not joining these days. They're doing well.
Actually, I think everyone is informed of. Radhe had to attend her parents who are not well, so she said that she would have a look at the recording, and
Okay, okay.
everybody else is informed. So I don't want to butch them again and again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they can listen to the recording later.
Yeah, yeah. No, last time's recording was very good. It's good you
Yeah,
guys recorded it and posted it. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Actually, these
Another thing
recordings also. Yeah.
which
Sorry,
came to
it's
my
okay.
mind,
Go ahead.
yeah, when you say Vivekananda, so
Yeah.
that's Vivekanand. Why do we say Vivekananda, or when we say Paramhans, no, Ramhans, Ram Krishna Paramhansa? So
Uh,
why do we say Paramhansa? Why don't we just say Paramhans? Because that's what we
actually,
read. I mean,
yes, yes. So if I'm taking this class in English, I am kind of
yeah, yeah,
compelled
yeah.
to use Paramahansa and Yogananda
Okay,
and Vivekananda. But
okay.
actually, you're right. It's Swami Vivekanand and not
Yeah,
Vivekananda.
maybe
It's
there is silent, probably.
yeah. I think in English you call it as Vivekananda, just like you say Rama, Lord Rama, or Lord Ravana. And I
Yeah,
have no idea why is that so.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And even in South India, it is a added. When
Okay.
we use words, we don't have half. Like there's no yoga, there's yoga.
Okay,
Okay. Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you
then.
so much for
So
the call.
good
I will.
luck. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Good luck.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay, take care.